All right, to start, we're going to start in a standing position. We're going to place that tennis ball between the palms, and we're just going to start to draw some gentle circles, but start to find a little press. So we want to start to let the elbows lift a little bit, finding a little bit of work. You might feel it in the backs of the arms, the armpit, chest. You might even notice some work in the shoulders. So maintain that nice little bit of pressure between the palms and just draw some little gentle circles. Awesome, and then see if you can switch directions and draw those circles the other way, but still maintaining that nice little bit of press, finding a little work in the armpit, chest, and a little work in the arms. Nice, and then keep that ball between the hands, walk the elbows in and see if you can keep the elbows to touch or line the elbows up with your wrist. So you're gonna find the placement of the elbows that feels right to you and your shoulders, and then we're gonna keep a light little squeeze in between the ball and lift the elbows up, lower the elbows down. Keep that little squeeze on the ball, lift your elbows up and lower down. 5 more to go, just like that. Awesome, and then let those elbows go. Give a couple of shrugs of the shoulders. Take your ball down to the ground. We're gonna place it under the right foot. Step it up underneath the ball of your foot, heel on the ground, and we're just gonna start that nice little swish side to side. So working across the bridge of your ball toe mound. So think big toes across to the pinky toes. Nice, and then lift your foot up, move it on in. So getting closer to the instep of the foot, put a little bit of a press and then shift your foot side to side. Nice, and then move it on in again. So now really finding that middle of the foot or the instep, heel on the ground, toes up, and we swish side to side. Awesome, and then lift up, heel on the ball, toes and the balls of the foot on the ground, trap that ball under your heel, put a little press, and then shift your heel side to side. So now it might be a little bit smaller, so you keep that ball in place. Awesome, and now we're gonna lift up and just start a soft roll to the bottom of the foot. So we're gonna stay upright and gently roll the foot. So most of the work is happening actually in the balance as you're holding yourself upright. Take 1 or 2 more passes toe to heel, and then we're gonna lean in a little bit. So now we're gonna let the body move with. So you're gonna put a little press into that foot, let your body weight move with you. You put as much pressure on as you feel comfortable with, and then start to think about working through the foot. Think big toe line, second toe line, third toe line, fourth toe line, and then pinky toe, or think outer edge of the foot. Nice, take 1 or 2 more good lengths of the foot, and then we're gonna bring it back underneath the ball of the foot, but think middle. So think about placing the ball about right underneath those 3 middle toes, but under the ball of the foot. So think about that alignment there. And then we're just gonna lean in and let the foot kind of curl over the ball. Put as much press as you can stand. And then lift up. And now we're gonna move it on in. So find the instep, that really big middle of the foot. Lean in, put as much press as you can stand. Let the foot soften around the ball. Take a breath. Nice, and then lift up. So now we're gonna place the toes and the ball of the feet on the ground, heel on the ball, lean in, put as much press as you can stand, and you can probably put a bit of weight on that heel if your bottom of the foot feels pretty healthy. Take 1 more breath. Awesome, then lift everything off, and then pause for a second and just notice how one foot feels a little different than the other. Sweet, and then we're gonna switch sides. So we're gonna place it under the other foot, and we're gonna start the soft roll. So you're gonna stay in an upright position. Your work is gonna be mostly in the standing leg, keeping balance. So it's a soft and gentle roll to the bottom of the foot to start. Nice, and then place your heel down on the ground. We're gonna place that ball underneath the ball toe mound of the foot and start your little swish side to side. So think about taking it from the big toe across towards the pinky toe. Beautiful. And then move it on up and in. So now a little bit underneath that ball toe mound, and then come back to that swish side to side. Awesome. And then move it in again. So now we're really finding that instep of the foot, heel on the ground, trap that ball, swish it side to side. Nice. And then move it on up to the heel. So big toe, toes on the ground, ball toe mound on the ground, heel trapped on the ball, and then swish it side to side. Awesome. Now back to that soft roll. I went a little out of water. So a soft roll here. And then when you feel good and ready, you're going to lean in and work through the length of the foot. So think about rolling through the big toe line, second toe line, third toe line, and so on. And you just want to work through the bottom of the foot. You put as much pressure on as you feel comfortable with, allowing your body weight to find that ball and move with you. Awesome. One more good roll of the bottom of that foot. And then step your foot off. Take a second to just kind of bounce out that standing leg, wiggle out all your toes. And then we're going to find our way down onto an all fours position. So come down in any way that you like best. We're going to place the ball under the right hand. Left hand is going to be on the ground. And with a gentle press on that ball, just start to draw some circles in one direction, working around the palm. Awesome. And now we're going to take that ball into the webby part of the thumb. So think thumb and index finger, place that webby part on the ball, lean in, put as much press as you can stand, take a breath. Lift up, and now we're going to take it index finger, middle finger, do the splits on the ball, put as much press as your body allows. And lift off, think middle finger, ring finger, doing the splits on the ball, just going as far as your hand feels comfortable with. And lift off, and now ring finger, pinky finger, do the splits on the ball. You put as much press as you like. Lift off and release, and then just sit back onto your heels just a little bit. So we're taking most of the weight off of the hands and the shoulders. Back of the hand. So palm facing up, you're going to place the back of the hand on the ball, and then your other hand is going to come on top. So we can just kind of keep a little bit of a press, maintain the control of the pressure. And we're going to draw some circles in one direction. And then draw some circles the other way. Cool. And then if you can find it, we're going to start to roll the back of the arm. So you're going to roll out a little bit and come back to the back of the hand. You're going to work the length of the forearm, and you're going to put just as much pressure as feels comfortable to you. And you can move it around a little bit. So think about going a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. So you really find a nice good amount of coverage to that forearm. Take one more in and out. Nice. And then come on up, and we're going to switch sides. So ball's going to come under the left hand back into that tabletop position. Start to draw some circles on the palm, go in one direction. And then draw some circles, go the other way. Beautiful. Now back to the thumb and index finger. So we're going to find that webby point of the thumb and index finger, lean that onto the ball, put as much press as your body likes. Take a breath. Awesome. And then lift up, index finger, middle finger on the ball, do the splits. And release, middle finger, ring finger on the ball, do the splits. And release, nice. And then ring finger, pinky finger on the ball, do the splits. And release, beautiful. Now sit your weight back into your heels, palm facing up. Other hand's gonna stack on top, so you control the amount of pressure that you're putting on the back of the hand. Start to draw some circles, go in one direction. And then start to draw some circles, go the other way. Nice. And then from here, if you can find it, we're going to start to find some work on the forearm. So we're going to just roll out. And again, you put as much pressure on as you like. And then you can move it a little to the left, move it a little to the right, just finding some nice work down through the forearm. Beautiful. One more roll forward and back. And then we're going to move on down and work into the thighs. So we're going to come down onto our belly. Take your time as you find your way there. And if you're working in an upright position, you might want to sit in a chair and you're just going to do the work from the top side. And you're going to just place the ball onto the thigh and you're going to use your hands to find the work and sort of dig around in that fashion. But if you're going to lay down onto the ground, you're going to take that ball and you're going to place it. Think about finding kind of the middle of the thigh, the middle of the thigh. So middle up and down and middle front to back. We're going to lay onto that ball and then see if we can find a little groove for that ball to settle into. Give it a second. Let your tush relax, let your belly kind of chill out for a second. It might feel a little bit intense, so just for a moment, see if you can find a little bit of softness, a little bit of breath. And then if you feel that little bit of softness, a little bit of breath, come down a little bit further, walk your elbows a little bit wider. You can let your forehead rest on your hands if that feels like a comfortable way to go. And then we're gonna lift the right heel and then lower the heel back down. Lift up the heel, lower it back down, lift up the heel and then hold it up. And then we're just gonna start to draw some circles with the foot, go in one direction. And then draw some circles with your foot, go the other way. Nice, and then lower your toe down, tune in for a second, and then just notice. We're gonna move the ball either up or down. So you're gonna just notice what would feel better to you to move the ball up the thigh a little bit or down the thigh a little bit, but just reach underneath, move it in the direction you think your body would like the best, and then lay your thigh back onto that ball. Take a second, let everything chill out, soften your bum, soften your back. And then when you feel like you've got it in a nice position and it feels like you're able to relax just a little bit, come back to that bend and straighten of the legs. Nice, and then the next time that heel lifts up, stay there, let the tissue soften for a second, and then start to draw some circles with the foot. Go in one direction, and then go the other way. Nice, and then lower your toe down. We're gonna lift up off that ball and we're gonna place it now in the belly tissue. So think about finding and locating that front protruding hip bone on the right side. Walk the ball in about 2 inches and that's where we're gonna lay onto the ball. So we want it in the soft tissue, not on the bony landmark. So make sure you're off that little protruding bone. Give it a second to kind of find that little indenture, right? And then just let everything soften. Let your belly soften over the ball. Let your forehead rest on your hands. Take a moment or two to just like tune in and notice, feel that ball underneath you and just take a couple of nice big breaths there and just notice the breath coming around the ball. And as you take a second here to breathe, just notice, are you gripping in your bum? Are you gripping in your low back or are you gripping in your belly muscles? So where can you soften? Take one more breath, letting everything be nice and soft. And then we're gonna bend that right knee and then take a little bit of a windshield wiper with that heel. So we're just gonna kind of swish the heel a little bit side to side and then see if you can tune in and notice the ball underneath that soft tissue. Nice, take one more little swish that heel side to side. And then we're gonna relax the right toes down, lift off, move that ball out from underneath you, and we're gonna work on to the other side. So we're gonna place that ball in that middle of your thigh, lay onto your thigh, take a second to find that nice groove so the ball feels like it's in a nice, good place, and then see if you can soften down, maybe letting your forehead rest on the backs of your hands, softening your thighs, softening your tush, softening your back, take a breath. And then once you feel like you found a little bit of softness relaxed into that ball, we're going to come into that bend and straighten. So we're going to pick the heel up and lower it back down. Lift the heel up and lower it down. On this next lift, lift and hold, and then just circle your foot in one direction. And then circle your foot the other way. Nice, and then relax your toes back down to the ground. Tune in for a second and notice. Will it feel good to move the ball up a little bit or down a little bit? You decide, choose your own adventure on this one. And then just reach down, move the ball up or down, whichever you think would feel the best to you. And then give a second to kind of settle back onto the ball. Relax your bum, relax your head, take a breath. And then when you feel good and ready, bend that knee. And then lower the toes back down. Bend your knee and lower back down. Bend your knee and hold. Circle your foot in one direction. Circle your foot the other way. Awesome. And then lower your toes back down to the ground. We're going to reach down, grab that ball out from underneath the thigh, and then we're going to move on up. So we're going to place it back into that. So we're going to locate the left side bony hip points, and the ball is going to come in about 2 inches. So you're going to find that nice soft tissue, and then see if you can just kind of lay onto that ball for a second and let everything settle in. Let your head rest. Let your back and your belly and your butt soften. And then once you feel like your back and your belly are kind of soft and everything's finding a little bit of ease here, tune in and just notice the ball underneath you and check in with the breath. So notice your breath and just feel the breath around that ball in the area the ball is pressing into. Nice. And then when you feel good and ready, we're going to just take a little bend and straighten of that leg just to make sure everything's feeling like it's in a good place. And then keeping that leg bent, and we're going to windshield wiper that heel. So just a little bit of a side to side movement. Nice. Take one more little swish side to side. And then when you're ready, lower your foot back down to the ground. We're going to roll over onto one side, move that ball out from underneath you, push your way up into a tabletop position, and we're going to flip over so that we're sitting on our butt. We're going to place the ball underneath our calf. And I'm going to slide my left leg in. I just like that little bit of an anchor, but we're going to start to find a little swish side to side. So think about leading with your toe. Toe turns in one direction and then the other way, and we just take that ball with us along the back of the calf. Awesome. One more little swish side to side, and then find your center. So find the center of the calf. You might feel that little split of the muscle. So just kind of let it rest in that little nook, and then just take a couple little points and flex of your foot. Nice. One more point and flex of the foot. And then we're going to switch sides. So we're going to lift that leg off and take it to the other leg. So we're going to place that ball underneath that nice thick portion of the calf. Right knee can be bent if that feels like a nice way to go. And then we're just going to find that little glide side to side. So lead with the toe, turning the foot out and turning the foot in. Beautiful. Nice. And then find that little center, find that little nook where the muscles kind of curve around the ball, let it settle in, and then take a couple of points and flex of the foot. Nice. One more point and flex of the foot. And then lift on off. And then we're going to move on up to the glutes. So we're going to take that ball, place it under the right side bum, and then slide your right leg in. So the right leg is going to, or left leg, excuse me, the left leg is going to give you lots of support, and your arms are going to help do the work. We're going to just start to draw some circles around on that ball. If you're working in an upright position, you can do this in a chair. So you can sit your butt onto the ball on a chair and then just use the chair to help circle yourself around. Nice, and then switch directions, go the other way. Sweet, and then just tune in for a second. Find a place where you can happily let your butt set on that ball. So you wanna let all of your weight come down, even let your left leg go long, let your right leg go long. So all of your weight is kind of really settled nice and easy on that ball. Let your butt muscles soften just a little bit. And then if you like the leg that the ball is underneath, you're just gonna give a couple of points and flex that foot. Beautiful. One more point and flex that foot. And then when you're ready, lift on off. And we're gonna move that ball over to the other side. So lift your bum, place that ball underneath, slide your right leg in, let your arms and your leg help support the weight, and then just take some nice, big, generous circles around on that left side. Beautiful, and then circle the other way. Nice, and then find a place where you can comfortably place that ball underneath you. Let all of your weight come onto the ball. So settle in, woo, let those muscles relax. And then once you've got those muscles kind of softening around the ball, so really wanna sink into it, then find a little point and flex to the left foot. Awesome, one more point and flex that foot. And then lift on off, move that ball out from underneath you. And then we're gonna come down onto our back. We're gonna place the ball underneath the right, or into that groove of the right shoulder blade. So place that ball up and in under the shoulder blades, and then give yourself a second to just kind of find a comfortable position. So it's a little lopsided, but just allow the right shoulder and the shoulder head to kind of soften around the ball. Let everything get nice and heavy here for a second. And now we're gonna take the right arm and just make some snow angels. So we're just gonna lift up and lower down and just move that arm at a depth that feels good to you. Nice, one more up and down here. And then we're either gonna lift up and glide up the ball, or you're just gonna move it manually with your hand. So whichever maneuver feels good. I sometimes like to lift my butt up and then glide up the ball, so you get that little extra deep tissue massage, but it can feel a little intense sometimes. So we're moving up maybe 2 or 3 inches. And then once you've got it in that nice groove in the shoulder blades, start that lift of the arm up and down again. Nice. And then when you're ready, arm comes down, and we're going to move up one last time. So either press into your feet, lift your hips and glide up the ball, or just move it manually. So you find a nice comfortable position. We're still in that groove of the shoulder blade, settle everything back down. And then once you feel like it's all in a good place, back to that lift and lower of the arm. Nice. One more lift and lower of the arm here. And then if you can, just reach across with your left hand, locate that ball, move it out and move it out from underneath. And then we're just gonna place it right up under the other side. So we're gonna find that lower groove of the shoulder blade and then let everything settle in. So you feel that little bit of a lopsided sensation. Let your shoulder, head, and your arm get heavy for a moment just to find that groove. And then once you feel like you're there, lift and lower the arm. Nice. One more lift and lower the arm. And then either manually move the ball up or lift your tush up, glide up the ball, move about 2 or 3 inches, and then settle back down. Make sure you're still in that nice little groovy place where we're finding the muscle tissue, but not on the bone. And then once you feel like you've found it, back to that lift and lower of the arm. Nice. One more lift and lower of your arm here. And then one last time, we're moving on up. So either lift and glide or move the ball with your hand. Find that upper portion of the shoulder blade groove. And once you've got everything settled in, right back up to that lift and lower of the arm. Nice. One more lift and lower of the arm here. And then see, as your arm lowers down, can you reach your right hand across, reach underneath, grab that ball out from underneath you. Staying with this bent knee position on our back, you're gonna lift your head up, place the ball a little bit along the ridge of your skull, but slightly off to the right. So think 2 inches behind the ear, but not right at the center of your neck. And then lay your head on the ball. You can keep your hand there to hold it in place. Draw tiny little circles in one direction. And then draw tiny little circles, go the other way. Beautiful. And then lift your head up and we're going to move on to the other side. So take your ball over to the left side, lay your head on the ball, make sure it's on that ridge of the skull and not on the soft tissue of the neck. Hold it in place with your hand and then draw tiny circles in one direction. And then draw some tiny circles the other way. Nice, and then lift your head up off the ball, let your head lower back down, and then just take a second here to let your spine relax. Let your head find a neutral position. Take a breath. And then just see how it feels to turn your head from side to side. Notice how your neck feels, notice how your head feels, notice how your shoulders feel. Awesome. One more turn of the head side to side. And then when you're ready, roll over onto one side, start to find your way up to a standing position. And we're just going to take a little forward fold just to see how the back of the body feels. So feet about hip width distance apart. Ball on the ground, ball in your hand, doesn't matter what you do with your ball here, but just take a nice big breath. Reach your arms up and overhead, a little soft bend to the knees, hinge from your waist. Reach long through the arms as you lower yourself down. And then if you can, let your fingers touch the floor. And then take a couple of gentle bends and straightens of the legs. And just notice the back side of your body, the backs of your legs, your shoulders, and the back of your head. Nice, and then keep a little bit of a straight leg position if you can, a little bit of length in the spine, and then just take 3 nods of your head up and down. So think about lifting your chin up and tucking your chin down. And we're just flossing through the spine here. Cool, and then the next time your chin tucks into your chest, keep it there, bend your knees a lot, pull your abdominal muscles in, roll all the way on up and let your chin be the last thing that lifts up. And then take a couple shrugs of your shoulders. You guys are amazing.